In this video, we will explore the cost of living in Rwanda's capital, Kigali. Topics will include housing and hotels, transportation, and food. But before we get started, be sure to like this video and leave a comment telling me why you want to move to Africa. And if you would like more information about living and traveling on the continent, be sure to subscribe. Housing and hotels. When you first arrive in Kigali, you'll need a hotel, and the good news is there are plenty of options in many different price ranges. If it is your first time in Rwanda, I suggest you stay at one of the city's two most developed areas. That would be Kiyovu, the established central business district known as Town, or Kimihurura, an up-and-coming business and nightlife destination known for the brand new convention center and the Kigali Heights Mall. Stay in a central location for the first few days. That's because it makes it easier to communicate with taxi drivers as you explore Kigali. Once you get familiar with the city, you can move to more exotic locations. Downtown, you will find 4- and 5-star hotels from top international brands like Marriott, Hilton, and Radisson Blu. Prices range from $100 to $200 per night, and while the interior finishing is spectacular, it's hard to justify spending that much money for a hotel room, especially if you plan to stay for longer than a few days. But you do get what you pay for. In Kiyovu's bustling commercial quarter, you can find older properties like the Chinese-owned 2000 Hotel for around $50 a day. The amenities and service are acceptable, but a significant step down from the big Western brands. At the $50 per night range, you can sometimes get mosquitoes in your room, but nets are provided. Now, you probably won't find hotels below the $40 to $50 per night range in downtown Kigali, but once you are ready to expand outside the downtown area, you can find rooms as low as $15 per night. Now, as always, you get what you pay for, and these buildings will be older, the showers won't be as good as what you're used to, you know the drill. Now, long-term stays are where Kigali shines. I was able to negotiate a furnished apartment downtown for just $550 a night. And paradoxically, detached homes are much cheaper than apartments. You can scoop up a furnished place with a yard and a gate for just $250 a month in areas like Nyamirambo or Chichichiru. That's how locals pronounce it. Unfurnished homes can rent for as low as $150 a month, which is jaw-dropping for most Americans. You can find apartment listings online, but if you want the absolute best deal, ask a local to hook you up. Now, on a final note, I prefer to live in multi-story apartments over detached homes. That's because there's more security. Rwanda is a safe country, but you can never be too safe. Transportation. Transportation is another area where Kigali shines. Rwanda doesn't have a subway system, but it does have a super efficient network of buses that can take you anywhere you need to go for affordable prices. Now, I don't remember the exact price, but don't expect to pay any more than 2,000 to 5,000 Rwandan francs, which is $2 to $5, to visit other cities in the country like Musanze, Gitarama, and Kabuye. The buses also work within Kigali, but for intra-city travel, I prefer the convenience of motorcycle taxis. Motorcycle taxis in Rwanda are almost unbelievably cheap. From the city center, expect to pay around 700 to 1,000 Rwandan francs to get to the convention center in Kimihurura, and a journey from town to Remera should be about 1,000 to 1,500. A trip to Nyamirambo should be 500. Now remember, 500 Rwandan francs is 50 cents. Now, one-way trips in Kigali should not cost more than 3,000 francs, but prices can rise dramatically when it gets late, especially near the COVID curfew time. There are situations where I had to pay 3 times the normal price for a trip because it was 9:30 and the curfew started at 10, so plan accordingly. On the flip side, traditional taxis, the ones that use cars, are crazy expensive compared to their two-wheeled counterparts. I paid around $20 to get from the airport to the central business district, which is a route that would only cost around $2 on a motorcycle. Uber does not operate in Rwanda, but there are plenty of other apps like Lego Cabs and VW Move that work in the country. But be ready to open your wallet. Now, I really don't recommend using a car taxi unless you want to carry luggage. And the good news is that most of the big hotels in town, they will operate free airport shuttles to pick you up and drop you off at the airport. Do you want to rent a car? If you plan to stay for a long time and you aren't rich, just don't do it. We are talking about $50 to $100 per day, which are basically US prices. The good news is that sometimes a personal driver will be included in that price, and they can hook you up with certain things. And you may be able to negotiate a lower monthly rate if you plan to stay in the country for a long time. Food. I don't recommend eating at hotel restaurants. You'll pay a lot of money for surprisingly bad food. We are talking about a $12 hamburger that tastes like cardboard or a cheap frozen pizza for $10. But outside of the hotels, the situation is much better. With food, as with everything in Rwanda, you get what you pay for. This is a city where the average person can earn less than $5 a day, and sometimes nothing at all. So there will be food available for every price range, and I mean every price range, especially in areas like Nyamirambo, where 1,000 Rwandan francs can buy enough food to last a person 2 days. Some meals can be found for as low as 200 Rwandan francs, which is just 20 cents. Now, with that being said, Rwandan food quality is much lower than the US, and if you want American level flavor, you'll have to pay American prices. Kimihurura in the center of Kigali is undeniably the best place to find top quality food at a higher price range. In the Kigali Heights Mall, you can find pizza and hamburgers for $5 to $12. The hamburgers won't taste the same as in America, but they are good enough. The pizzas are excellent. Make sure to try the strawberry smoothie milkshake at Ryder's Cafe. It is one of the best I've ever had. Another good thing about Rwandan restaurants is the crazy cheap delivery prices, which are handled through an app called Vuba Vuba. Labor costs and motorcycle taxi rates in Rwanda are extremely low, and this means you can get food delivered to you for less than 2,000 Rwandan francs, which is $2. And before I forget, let's talk about alcohol. Beer can be cheap or expensive depending on where you get it. Local distributors can sell you enough beer for an entire party for less than $5. Higher end restaurants will sell that same beer for $2 per bottle. You can also get alcohol delivered through the Vuba Vuba app for the same price as food. Dating and leisure. I would like to close this video off with some quick remarks about dating and leisure. Friendships and dating in Rwanda are cheaper or more expensive depending on how you look at it. It's cheaper in the sense that things cost less, but also more expensive because you'll usually be paying for more than just yourself. $20 can feed 5 people at a decent restaurant. That's probably not much money to you as an American, but for locals, it's often a huge chunk of their income. So forget splitting bills, especially when dating. All that spending can slowly add up, especially if you want to hang out with friends multiple times a week. And if you don't keep your spending in check, you could easily end up spending more money in Rwanda than you did in the United States. To wrap things up, you can live in Kigali for less than $600 a month, assuming you rent an unfurnished home, cook most of your food, and get around through motorcycle taxis. You would also want to keep social outings in moderation. For me, a comfortable life would start at around $1,000 to $1,500. You could go out with friends almost every day with that income. And if you want to live long-term in Rwanda, I would recommend consistent earnings of over $2,000 per month, so you can save some money at the end of the month.